Good morning, gamers! I am Quigg Cosplay, but you can call me Soph. MagicCon Chicago is just about a month away. I'm getting super excited, but it's probably honestly past time I started working on the cosplays I'm gonna be bringing. So we're gonna be doing that today. The new build I'm gonna be doing for Chicago is the City Styles Paradise Mantle. I'm considering this more of a mini build because I'm going more for the vibes of the character instead of a direct exact replica. I'm also considering this a mini build because I'm not gonna be using some of the techniques and super fine detail work that I would normally put into like a competition piece. But it's gonna be super cool, so let's hop right into it. I found this awesome fur at Joann's. It already has this super cool kind of multicolored tie-dye look that the original character art has, so I don't have to try and figure out how to dye fur myself. This is my first time working with fur, so I'm really happy I don't also have to learn how to dye it. I'm gonna work top down, so I'm gonna be starting with this fluffy little hat. If you didn't already know, sewing takes a lot of basic math, so I have to do that quick before I can get to the fun part. Once my math is done, I go on to the flat pattern making. This hat is literally a rectangle and a circle with seam allowance, so it's not that hard. And once my pattern is finished, it is just a matter of cutting it out of the paper and pinning it to my fabric. And then I'm gonna cut it out on my fur. Now, I know I said that this is my first time using fur, and I'm pretty sure there's a correct way I'm supposed to be doing this. Did I do research? No, I did not. Am I technically doing this the correct way? It remains to be seen. But hey, if the finished product turns out, then we're golden. I think there is a way to cut fur without getting all these little fuzzies everywhere that I am not doing, so I guess my room will just be covered with fur. Like I mentioned, this is a super simple pillbox shape, so it's really only 2 seams, 5 if we're counting the lining. And one thing that's really gonna help it look nice is kind of picking all of this excess fur out of the seams. Because when you're sewing over fur, it really gets stuck in there and kind of makes a very obvious seam line. So to make it look like the professional we are, we're gonna be picking all of that out by hand. But the next thing we're doing is sewing on the top of this hat. It was at this moment that I figured out how much this fabric really liked to stretch, and so I put in probably too many pins. But I was not about to have this thing shift on me while I'm sewing it. I don't know why, but I find sewing circles so much more difficult than just doing like straight lines. It did end up shifting on me a little bit, but I think I saved it. Also, it did definitely catch on one of the ends of my thread and started bunching up like this. But I saved it, it turned out great, and now I am just going through and picking all of this fur out. Now that I have the fur outside sewn, I am going to go into the lining, and I'm gonna also add a layer of batting on the inside so that it kind of keeps this up in an erect shape. Luckily, the lining is the exact same as the shell, so it's gonna be super easy. We're just gonna start by cutting out our fabric here. I actually think I got this fabric at a garage sale. I actually buy a lot of fabric at garage sale. Look at me, I'm so thrifty. I did give it a good and thorough wash, so that's why it's a little wrinkled right now. But I'm just gonna go ahead and cut both of my pieces out on this purple satin lining fabric. And then I'm gonna go over to my pressing station here. As I mentioned, I'm using a fusible batting to keep this sort of pillbox shape. But for some reason my iron was sticking. You can see here I'm like very confused and a little nervous that I'm burning the fabric and melting it. I don't know if it was just too high or if I had something on my iron. I think it might be the latter. As you can see, I'm gonna fiddle with it a little bit. It does help a little bit once I turn my heat down. I got it fused though. The one thing I'm not showing though is my visible panic when it was sticking and I thought I was burning it. Instead, ooh, look, a circle. So once I have the batting on, I'm gonna be sewing it up just like I did the outer shell, and then I'm gonna be stitching the two together at the bottom. I also really struggle here because again, the fur was trying to stretch while this batting was not allowing any stretch of the lining. So now that I've gotten this all stitched together, you can kind of see I left a little space here so that I can flip it back inside out. So I'm just gonna have to like worm it through here. Also, I am like covered in fur already. I am just covered in fur. There we go, movie magic. So now it is fully aligned. Very cute. Ta-da! Next, I am gonna move on to tackling this wig. So this is what it looks like, completely unstyled. As you can tell, the bangs are super long, so we're gonna give it a little TLC. Like with all cosplay wigs, I'm going to give all of my hair a good once over with my crimper before I even think about touching another styling tool. It's going to kind of damage some of these artificial fibers to give me some good texture, a little bit of volume, just kind of what I need to be able to work with the hair itself. I'm also brushing it out right after I crimp it so it doesn't get those super heavy crimp lines. There's still gonna be some, but it's not gonna be as noticeable. This can take a really long time, especially with really long wigs. Mine isn't that bad, especially since it's gonna be going into a braided style, but I still wanted to give it a bit of that base. I also typically separate my wig into the bottom and the top wefts just so I can make sure I hit everything pretty evenly. And I'm just gonna brush it out like I have here. See, the fibers end up really nice. And once I'm done with the wefts that are underneath, I am going to start with the top wefts. And I'm also going to hit the bangs just so I can get some texture in the bangs as well, even though I'm gonna be cutting them. For the bangs, after I crimped them, I put them around this roller and then I gave them a good steam, let it dry completely, and now it's gonna have this kind of nice curl. I had given them a trim pre-curling, so I think it's a better length. I'm just gonna brush this out. Now, I am not a hairdresser. I have never cut my own hair. I wouldn't even know the first thing or even where to start. So I think I did an okay trim job. I've just kind of gone off of what I've seen in YouTube videos for trimming bangs. I would never try it on my own, but I feel a little more comfortable trying it on a wig. As you can see, I'm going in, I'm just trying to feather it. I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit so we don't have that like stark, blunt bang line. And I'm really not taking too much off. It's just that little bit. Now that we've got the bangs squared away, I am going to separate the rest of the remaining hair in the back into two sides because I'm going to be doing the braids. I'm going to pin this one to the side because I just want it out of the way, and I have kind of clumsy fingers when it comes to braiding hair. It's fine. Also, these crimped hairs are going to sit a lot nicer in the braid, which is going to be really helpful. I'm going to end up hairspraying it at the very end, but I'd like it to stay as best as I can, especially if I'm going to be wearing it all day at a convention. So I'm just going to go through and braid each side. Once I've got it braided, I'm going to kind of pull it out just a little bit. It's going to look really nice and give it a little bit more volume. I am also triple hairbanding these because I'm using these really tiny little baby binders. I've used them for doll hairstyling before and they've kind of just popped on me, so I'm making sure that these are not going to pop out. And then, as I said, I'm going to pull my braids out just a little bit to give them a little more volume, a little more fullness. Don't know where my camera is going at this point. My focus is all over the place. Once that's done, I'm gonna kind of shape these ends here. Also, right after I braided, I realized that she has these little wefts in the front and I had to pull it out and redo my braids completely. I'm gonna trim them just a little bit since they're shorter in the picture. I'm also gonna use my definitely hairstylist approved little technique of trying to feather it out so it doesn't, again, look so blunt and heavy. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks a little longer than the image, but it's better for my face shape. Then I'm gonna run up to my guest bedroom to just absolutely douse this thing in hairspray. I don't hairspray down in my office because of these two little guys. This is Teferian pickles. They are my birds and they're super sensitive to smells, especially aerosols, so I just do it as far away from them as I can, which just happens to be the guest room. So now that I have finished my wig, I have my hat, I am going to move on to her neck kerchief, scarf, I'm not 100% sure what it is. Just goes around her neck. It's very colorful. I picked up this just cotton fabric. It's rainbow. It's super pretty. I'm not sure if I'm gonna love how this looks, but we're gonna try it and we're gonna see if we like it. If not, I kind of have a backup idea. I might try and crochet it. We're gonna do this first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish my edges. So we're just gonna do like a rolled hem. And then I'm gonna have it come to a point at the end because she has that tie in the back. So I'm gonna try and be able to tie it. So let's get started. I've also just realized that this print is not on grain. I always like to rip my fabric because it's going to rip right on grain. As you can see, I have my crosswise grain. So just a little note to you crafters, you can't always rely on your pattern for your grain line. So I've found the grain line on both sides, I've ripped it off, and I'm just gonna start by folding it in half and then marking about 8 inches down. Kind of just picked an arbitrary number. I'm just trying to get like this nice curve. It's gonna end up taking a little bit off when I sew it anyway, but I want it to be nice and pointed like she has in the back. So I'm gonna go in with my heat dissolving marker and just mark that, and I'm gonna cut it on both sides the exact same. This is what I like to call a loosely planned freehand. We're freehanding it a little bit, but there was some intentionality behind it. But look, we've got a nice little point here. And then I'm just gonna do a nice little rolled hem. I think it looks a lot cleaner. This is how I finish basically all of my garments on the bottom anyway. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick once it's all said and done. And I think it just looks really nice and clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to both sides. I'm also using a white thread just because it has like detail accents with white. So then once I'm done, you can see it just looks nice and clean. We have that nice clean point at the end, and I'm just gonna get this nice and flat. And here it is on the mannequin. I do think I like it. The tie is nice in the back. Okay, I don't hate it. I might still crochet something. I don't know. Let me see it with the wig and the hat on. Okay, I threw my glasses on too because she has glasses in the image. And yeah, this is super cute. I like how colorful it is. I feel like it kind of makes everything else pop as opposed to the card art, which is kind of a little duller. Yeah, this is really coming together. Okay, I have one more thing I want to get done for this video, and that is the t-shirt. Since this isn't a competition piece, I just went and bought a Comfort Colors t-shirt just at my local Joann's. It was exactly the color I needed, and I think I'm just gonna modify this. So I'm gonna cut off the sleeves. I just do that because I have a sensory thing, and I think it looks nicer. And then I measured on my body where I want it to crop, so I'm gonna go ahead with my dissolvable marker, and I'm gonna mark where I want that crop to be. It was so hard to tell in the art if she has like a logo or something on her shirt. I think she might. I don't know, you guys tell me what you think, because I really can't tell. If you think there is one, I'll definitely add one. Otherwise, I might just leave this blank. So please leave a comment down below if you think there is like a cute little decal on there, because I just can't really decide. I'm gonna follow this line that I drew all the way around, cutting off this bottom, and I'm gonna hang on to the bottom fabric because I have a special little project planned for it later. And once I'm done, I'm just gonna kind of pull it. It's gonna roll and look just a little more finished. And voila, our finished crop top. That is all for this video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. YouTube is going to be my new home since I am starting this foray into long form content. So you can expect a new video from me every Sunday. Please hit the bell, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. All of your engagement helps, and I really appreciate you getting my videos out there. You can also find me everywhere at Quigg Cosplay. It's the same on every other platform. Go follow me over there. Join me next time when I'm going to be doing the coat, the shorts, and the little booties.